Ominous unknown killer is still at large. After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still at the rise. After the little evidence that has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story. I had a bad dream, and I woke up in the middle of the night, says the boy. I saw that for some reason my window was open, even though I had remembered it being closed when I went to bed. I got it up, shut it once more. Afterwards, I simply crawled under my covers and tried to get back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling, like someone was watching me. I looked up, nearly jumped out of my bed. There was a little ray of light illuminating from between my curtains. There were a pair of two eyes. These weren't regular eyes, they were dark, ominous eyes. They were bordered in black and just plain out terrified me. And that's when I saw his mouth, a long, horrendous smile that had made every hair on my body stand up. The figure stood there, watching me. Finally, after what seemed like forever, he said it. A simple phrase, but in a way only a madman could speak. He said, "Go to sleep." I let out a scream. That's what sent him at me. He pulled up a knife, aiming at my heart. He jumped on top of my bed. I fought him back. I kicked. I punched. I rolled around, trying to knock him off me. That's when my dad busted in. The man threw the knife and went right in my dad's shoulder. The man probably would have finished him off, and one of the few neighbors have alerted the police. They drove into the parking lot, and they ran towards the door. The man turned and ran down the hallway. I heard a smash, a glass plate breaking. As I came out of my room, I saw that the window was pointing towards the back of my house was broken. I looked out and see him vanish into the distance. I can tell you one thing. I will never forget that face. Those cold, evil eyes and that psychotic smile. They'll never leave my head. Police are still on the look for this man. If you see anybody that fits the description in this story, please contact your local police department. Jeff and his family have just moved into a new neighborhood. His dad has gotten a promotion at work. They thought they would be the best place to live in a fancy neighborhood. Jeff and his brother Lee couldn't complain though. A new, better house. What's not to love? As they were getting unpacked, their neighbor came by. "Hello," she said. "I'm Barbara. I live across the street from you. Well, I wanted to introduce myself and my son." She turns and calls her son over. "Billy." "These are our new neighbors." Billy said hi and ran back to play in his yard. "Well," said Jeff's mom, "I'm Margaret. This is my husband Peter. And my two sons, Jeff and Hugh." They introduced themselves, and Barbara invited them to their son's birthday. Jeff and his brother were about to object, but the mother said that they would love to. When Jeff and his family are done packing, Jeff went up to his mom. "Mom, why would you invite us to that kid's party? If you haven't noticed, I'm not some dumb kid." "Jeff," said his mother, "we just moved here. We should know that we spend time with our neighbors. Now, we're going to that party and that's final." Jeff started to talk, but stopped himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. Whenever his mom said something, it was final. He walked up and plopped down on his bed. He sat there looking at the ceiling when suddenly he got a weird feeling. Not so much as pain, but a weird feeling. He dismissed it as just some random feeling. He heard his mother call him down to get his stuff, and he walked down to get it. The next day, Jeff walked down the stairs to get breakfast and ready for school. As he sat there eating his breakfast, he once again got that feeling. This time it was stronger. It gave him a slight tugging pain, but once he dismissed it, him and Lee finished breakfast. They walked down to the bus stop and they sat there waiting for a bus. And then all of a sudden some kid on a skateboard jumped over them. Only inches away from their laps, they both jumped back in surprise.
Hey, what the hell?
The kid landed and turned back at them. He kicked his skateboard up and he caught it with his hands. The kid seems to be about 12, 1 year younger than Jeff. He wears an Aeropostale shirt and ripped blue jeans. Well. It looks like we got some new meat. Suddenly 2 other kids appeared. One was super skinny and the other one was huge. Well, since you're new here, I'd like to introduce yourselves. Over there is Keith. Jeff and Leo looked over there to the skinny kid. He had a dopey face, and that would you expect to as a sidekick to have. And he's Troy. They looked over at the fat kid. Talk about a tub of lard. The kid looked like he hasn't exercised since he was crawling. And I, said the first kid, I am Randy. Now, for all the kids in this neighborhood, this is a small price for bus fare, if you catch my drift. Lou stood up. Randy punched the lights out of the kid's eyes when his friends pulled a knife on him. Tisk, tisk, tisk. I had hoped you would be, more cooperative. But seems like we're gonna have to do this the hard way. The kid walked up to Lou and took his wallet out of his pocket. Jeff got that feeling again. Now, it was truly strong. A burning sensation. He stood up, but Lou gestured him to sit down. Jeff ignored him and walked up to the kid. Listen here, you little punk. Give me my bro's wallet back or else. Randy put the wallet back in his pocket and pulled out his own knife. Oh? And what will you do? Just as he finished the sentence, Jeff popped the kid in the nose. Randy reached for his face. Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke it. Randy screamed. Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Troy and Keith rushed Jeff, but Jeff was too quick. He threw Randy to the ground and Keith lashed out at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped the knife and fell to the ground, screaming. Troy rushed to him too, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He punched Troy straight in the stomach and Troy went down. As he fell, he puked all over. Lou couldn't do anything but look in amazement at Jeff. Jeff, how'd you... That was all he said. Saw the bus coming, they knew they'd be blamed for. They knew they'd be blamed for the whole thing. So they started running as fast as they could. As they ran, they looked back and saw the bus driver rushing over to Randy and the others. As Jeff and Lou made it to school, they didn't dare tell what happened. All they did was sit and listen. Lou just thought as his own big brother beating up a few kids, but Jeff knew it was more. It was something scary. As he got that feeling, he felt how powerful it was. The urge to just hurt someone. He didn't like how it sounded, but he couldn't help the feeling happy. He felt this strange feeling go away, and stay it sounded that way for the entire day of school, even as he walked home due to the whole thing near the bus stop. And now he's probably wouldn't be taking the bus anymore. He felt happy. When he got home, his parents asked him how his day was. He said, in a somewhat ominous voice, "It was a wonderful day." The next morning, he heard a knock on his front door. He walked down to find 2 police officers at the door. His mother was looking back at him with an angry look. "Jeff, these officers tell me that you attacked 3 kids. It wasn't a regular fighting, and they were stabbed." "Stabbed? Son!" Jeff's gaze fell to the floor, showing his mother that it was true. "Mom, they were the ones that pulled the knife on me and Lou." "Son," said one of the cops, "we found 3 kids, 2 stabbed, 1 having a bruise on his stomach. And we have witnesses providing that you fled the scene. Now what does that tell us? Jeff knew it was no use. He could say him and Lou had been attacked, but then there was no proof to them that who attacked first. They couldn't say that they were fleeing because the truth that they were. So Jeff couldn't defend himself or Lou. Son, call down your brother, said Jeff couldn't do it since it was him who beat up all the kids. Sir, it was me. I was the one who beat up those kids. Lou tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me. The cop looked at the partner and they both nodded. Well, kid, looks like a year in juvie. Wait, says Lou, and looked up to see him holding a knife. The officers pulled their guns and locked them on Lou. It was me. I beat up those little punks. I have the marks to prove it. He lifted up his sleeves to reveal cuts and bruises, as if it was in a struggle. Son, put the knife down, said the officer. Lou held up the knife and dropped it to the ground. He put his hands up and walked over to the cops. No, Lou, it was me. I did it. Jeff had tears running down his face. Huh. Poor bro. Trying to take the blame for what I did. Well, take me away. The police led Lou out to the patrol car. Lou, tell them it was me. Tell them. I was the one who beat up those kids. Jeff's mother put her hands on his shoulders. Jeff, please. You don't have to lie. We know it's Lou. You can stop. Jeff watched helplessly as the cop car speeds off with Lou inside. A few minutes later, Jeff's dad pulled away into the driveway. Seeing Jeff's face and knowing something was wrong. Son, what is it? Jeff couldn't answer. His vocal cords were strained from crying. Instead, Jeff's mother walked his father outside to break the bad news to him as Jeff wept in the driveway. After an hour or so, Jeff walked back in the house, saying that his parents were both shocked, sad, and disappointed. He couldn't look at them. He couldn't see how they thought that of Lou. It was his fault. He just went to sleep, trying to get the whole thing off his mind. 2 days went by. No words from Lou at JDC. No friends to hang out with, nothing but sadness and guilt. Until Saturday, when Jeff is woken up by his mother with a happy, sunshiny face. Jeff, it's the day, she said, as he opened up the curtains and let the light flood into his room. What? What's today? Asked Jeff as he stirs awake. Why? It's Billy's party. Now he's fully awake. Mom, you're joking, right? Don't we expect to go to some kid's party after there was an pause? Jeff, we both know what happened. I think the party could be the thing that brightens us up the past few days. Now get dressed. Jeff's mother walked out of the room and downstairs to get ready for himself. He fought to get up. He picked out a random shirt and a pair of jeans and he walked downstairs. He saw his mother and father all dressed up. His mother in a dress and his father in a suit. He thought, why would they ever wear such fancy clothes to a kid's party? Son, is that all you're gonna wear? Said Jeff's mom. Better than wearing too much, he said. His mother pushed down the feeling to yell at him, but hid it with a smile. Now, Jeff, we may be overdressed, but it's how you go if you want to make an impression, said his father. Jeff grunted and went back up to his room. I don't have any fancy clothes, he yelled down. Just pick out something, called his mother. He looked around in his closet for what he could call fancy. He found a pair of black dress pants and he had for special occasions and an undershirt. He couldn't find anything to go with the shirts, so he looked around. He found only striped and patterned shirts, none which go with the dress pants. He finally found a white hoodie and put it on. You're going to wear that? They both said. His mother looked at her watch. Oh, no time to change. Let's just go. she said as she herded Jeff and his father out the door. They crossed the street over to Barbara and Billy's house. They knocked on the door, and it appeared that Barbara, just like his parents, way overdressed. As they walked inside, all Jeff could see were adults, no kids. The kids are out in the yard, Jeff, if you want to. How about you go meet some of them? Said Barbara. Jeff walked outside the full yard of kids. They were running around in weird cowboy costumes, and suddenly, each with their plastic guns. He might as well be standing at a Toys R Us. Suddenly a kid came up with him, handed him a toy gun and hat. "Hey, wanna play?" he said. No kid, I'm way too old for this stuff." Kid looked down at him in weird puppy dog face. "Please?" said the kid. "Fine," said Jeff. He put on the hat and started to pretend to shoot at the kids. At first he thought it was totally ridiculous, then he started actually having fun. It might not have been super cool, but it was the first time he had done something that looks like took his mind off Lou. So he played with the kids for a while until he heard a noise, weird rolling noise. Then it hit him. Randy, Troy, and Keith all jumped over the fence on their skateboards. Jeff dropped the fake gun and ripped off the hat. Randy looked at Jeff with a burning hatred. "Hello, Jeff it is," he said. "We have some unfinished business." Jeff saw his bruised nose. "I think we're even. I could beat the crap out of you and you get my brother sent to JDC. Randy got an angry look in his eyes. "Oh no, I don't go for even, I go for winning. You may have kicked our asses that one day, but today," he said. Randy rushed at Jeff. They both fell to the ground. Randy punched Jeff in the nose. Jeff grabbed him by the ears and headbutted him. Jeff pushed Randy away, and both their nose rose to their feet. Kids were screaming. The parents came running out of the house. Troy and Keith both pulled out guns out of their pockets. "No one interrupts or guts will fly," they said. Randy pulled a knife on Jeff and stabbed it into his shoulder. Jeff screamed and fell to his knees. Randy started kicking him in the face. After 3 kicks, Jeff grabs his foot and twists it, causing Randy to fall to the ground. Jeff stood up, walked towards the back door. Troy grabbed him. "Need some help?" He picked up Jeff and grabbed him by the collar, throws him against the patio door. As he tries to stand up, he was just kicked to the ground. Randy repeatedly starts kicking Jeff until he starts to cough up blood. "Come on, Jeff, fight me!" Picks up Jeff and throws him into the kitchen. Randy sees a bottle of vodka in the counter and smashes it over Jeff's head. "Fight!" He throws Jeff back into the living room. "Come on, Jeff, look at me." Jeff glances up, his face riddled with blood. "I was the one who got your brother sent to JDC. Now you're just gonna sit here and let him rot in there for a whole year? You should be ashamed." Jeff starts to get up. "Oh, finally, you standing to fight?" Jeff is now on his feet, blood and vodka on his face. Once he gets a strange feeling, a feeling he hasn't felt for a while. Finally, "He's up," says Randy, as he runs at Jeff. When it happens, something inside Jeff snaps. His psyche is destroyed. All rational thinking is gone. All he can do is kill. He grabs Randy and pile drives him to the ground. He gets on top of him and punches him straight in the heart. The punch causes Randy's heart to stop, and Randy gasps for air. Jeff hammers down on him, punch after punch. Blood gushes from Randy's body until he takes one final breath and dies. Everybody's looking at Jeff now, kids crying, even Troy and Keith. This is easily break from Jeff's gaze. Points their guns at Jeff. Jeff sees the guns trained on him and starts running for the stairs. Jeff runs Troy and Keith let out a fire on, each shot missing. Jeff runs up the stairs. He hears Troy and Keith following up behind. As they let out the final rounds of bullets, Jeff ducks into the bathroom. He grabs a towel wrap and rips it off the wall. Troy and Keith race in, knives ready. Troy swings his knife at Jeff, who backs away and bangs the towel rack into Troy's face. Troy goes down, hard, and now that's left is Keith. One more agile than Troy though. He ducks when Jeff swings the towel rack. He dropped the knife and grabbed Jeff by his neck. He pushed him into the wall, and then a thing of bleach fell down on top of him from the top shelf. It burnt both of them, and they both started to scream. Jeff wiped his eyes the best he could. He pulled back the towel rack and swung it straight into Keith's head. As he lays there, bleeding to death, he let out an ominous smile. "What's so funny?" asked Jeff. Keith pulled out a lighter and switched on. "What's funny?" he said. "It's you're covered in bleach and alcohol." Jeff's eyes widened as Keith threw the lighter at him. As soon as the flame made contact with him, flames ignited in the alcohol in vodka. While the alcohol burned him, the bleach burned his skin. Jeff let out a terrible screech as he caught fire. He tried to roll out the fire, but it was no use. The alcohol made him a walking inferno. He ran down the hall, fell down the stairs. Everybody started screaming as they saw Jeff, now a man on fire, dropped to the ground, nearly dead. The last thing Jeff saw was his mother and the other parents trying to extinguish the flame. That's when he passed out. When Jeff had awoken, he had a cast wrapped around his face. He couldn't see anything, but he felt a cast on his shoulder and stitches all over his body. He tried to stand up, but he realized that when Jeff awoke, he had a cast wrapped around his face. He couldn't see anything, but he felt a cast on his shoulder and stitches all over his body. He tried to stand up, but he realized there was some sort of tube in his arm. When he tried to get out, it fell out. The nurse rushed in. "I don't think you can get out of bed just yet," she said as she put him back in bed and reinserted the tube. Jeff sat there with no vision, no idea of what his surroundings were. Finally, after hours, he heard his mother. "Honey, are you okay?" she asked. Jeff couldn't answer though. His face was covered, and he was unable to speak. "Oh, honey, I have great news. After all the witnesses told the police that Randy confessed to trying to attack you, they let Louie go." This made Jeff almost bolt up, stopping halfway, remembering that the tube would come out of his arm again. "He'll be out by tomorrow, and then you two will be able to be together again." Jeff's mother hugs Jeff and says her goodbyes. The next couple of weeks were those where Jeff was visited by his family. Then came the day where the bandages were removed. His family were all there to see it, what he would look like. As the doctors unwrapped the bandages from Jeff's face, everyone was on the edge of their seats and waited until the last bandage holding the cover's face was almost removed. "Let's hope for the best," said the doctor. He quickly pulls the cloth, letting the rest fall from Jeff's face. Jeff's mother screams at the sight of his face. Lou and Jeff's dad stare, awestruck at his face. What happened to my face?" said Jeff. He rushed out of bed and ran to the bathroom. He looked in the mirror. In cause of distress, his face. It was horrible. His lips were burnt in a deep shade of red. His face was turned into a pure white color, and his hair was singed from brown to black. He slowly... His face. It's horrible. His lips were burned to a deep shade of red. His face was turned into a pure white color, and his hair was singed from brown to black. He simply put his hand to his face, and a sort of leathery feel to it now. He looked back at his family, then back at the mirror. "Jeff," said Lou. It's not that bad." "Not that bad?" said Jeff. "It's perfect." His family were equally surprised. Jeff started laughing uncontrollably. His parents noticed that his left eye and hand were twitching. Jeff, are you okay?
Okay? I've never felt more happy.
Look at me. His face goes perfectly with me. He couldn't stop laughing. He stroked his face, feeling it, looking at it in the mirror. What caused this? Well, you may recall when Jeff was fighting Randy, something in his mind. His sanity snapped. Now he was left with a crazy killing machine. That is, his parents didn't know. Doctor, said Jeff's mom, is my son, is he alright? You know, in the head? Oh yes, this behavior is typical for parents that have taken a very large amount of painkillers. If the behavior doesn't change in a few weeks, bring him back here. We'll give him a psychological test. Oh, thank you, doctor. Jeff's mother went over to Jeff. Jeff, sweetie, it's time to go. Jeff looks away from the mirror. His face still formed in a crazy smile. "'Kay, mommy." Ha. Ha. His mother took him back by the shoulder. Took him to get his clothes. This what came in the lady at the desk. Jeff looked down to see a black dress pants and a white hoodie her son wear. They were now clean of blood and stitched together. Jeff's mother led him to his room and made him put his clothes on. Then they left, not so knowing that this was their final day of life. Later that night, Jeff's mother woke up to the sound coming from the bathroom. It sounded as if someone was crying. She slowly walked over to see what it was. When she looked into the bathroom, she saw a horrendous sight. Jeff has taken the knife and carved a smile into his cheeks. Jeff, what are you doing? Asked his mother. Jeff looked over at his mother. I couldn't stop smiling, Mommy. It hurt after a while. Now I can smile forever. Jeff's mother noticed his eyes, ringed and black. Jeff, your eyes. His eyes were seemingly never closed. I couldn't see my face. I got tired and my eyes started to close, so I burned out the eyelids so I could see myself, my new face. Jeff's mother slowly backed away, seeing that her son was going insane. What's wrong, Mommy? Aren't I beautiful? Yes, son, she said. Yes, you are. Let me go get Daddy so he can see your face. She ran into the room and shook Jeff's dad from his sleep. Hon, get the gun. She stopped as she saw Jeff in the doorway, holding a knife. Mommy, you lied. That's the last thing they hear as Jeff rushes towards them with the knife, gutting them both. His brother Lou woke up, startled by the noise. He didn't hear anything else, so he just shut his eyes and tried to go back to sleep. As he was on the border of slumber, he got the strangest feeling that someone was watching him. He looked up. Before Jeff's hand covered his mouth, he slowly raised the knife to plunge it into Lou. Lou thrashed, and they was trying to escape Jeff's grip. Shh, Jeff said. Just go to sleep.